more than anybody else. We got to talk about Ashton Jeanty. So the Ashton Jeanty discourse, kind of died down after the Heisman Trophy was given out. But the fact of the matter is, if Boise State is to win, Ashton Jeanty must have a superhuman game. Well, Ashton Jeanty's PrizePicks number is out for this game. You ready for it? Because I want to hear how you feel about. I want to hear how you feel about this. Like, if this is enough.
Guess?
Yeah, hold on one second. So, download PrizePicks, play $5, get $50 instantly when you use the code Staples. Best daily fantasy game in America. We're talking about the squares you can pick on PrizePicks. So it's a player, a stat category, and obviously that is for college football, the NFL, the NBA. You can mix and match different sports. We're talking about Ashton Jeanty right now. So, what do we think Ashton Jeanty's target rushing number is on PrizePicks for the Fiesta Bowl against Penn State?
127.5 would be my guess.
Wow.
Are you kidding me?
129.5. Oh. Now, here's my question. Is that enough? Because I'm not sure it is. Because I think, and we've talked about this multiple times, like in the context of like when you and I were kids watching the Chicago Bulls, like the only way to beat them was you kind of let Michael do his thing. And then you prayed you didn't get beat by Scottie Pippen and John Paxson and Horace Grant or Tony Kukoc in the second iteration and Dennis Rodman. Like you hoped that Michael would score his 32 and then you could just figure it out from there. I'm not sure that's Ashton Jeanty scoring Michael's 32 there. I think Ashton Jeanty probably has to go over 150 for that to happen. And he probably has to go over 170 to have a game like the one he played against Oregon, where he had Boise State in the game in Eugene late in the fourth quarter.
So John here in the chat had an interesting question. Who will have more combined yards, Jeanty or Catron and Singleton? That is an interesting prop. But let me ask you this. Who would you rather have?
I'd take
Jeanty or the combo?
I'd rather have Jeanty. I would absolutely rather, and that's no offense to Catron Allen and Nick Singleton. I just think Jeanty's that good. Like, he is superhuman because he did this not behind the best offensive line in the world. A lot of this is him breaking tackles. I also think the fact that he's had time to rest and recover. Like, I think we're going to get first month of the season Ashton Jeanty here when he was averaging 10 yards a carry. Now, the way this is set up, he may do this, and if they win, it may be a lot tougher next game because this Penn State defense will beat you up. But in case you're wondering, so Catron Allen's rush square is 54.5. Nick Singleton's rush square is 77.5. We're a bad at math podcast, but
it's about the
basically the same. Yeah.
Well, Ashton Jeanty running for 130 yards, I think, would be a Penn State containment of him. Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
I think he has to go past 150 and like have a monster game for them to have a chance, Andy. Like you know what I said.
I think you're right. And that's what my pick of Boise State is predicated on Ashton Jeanty having a huge game. Like his demon square for touchdowns, rushing and receiving is 1.5, which means if you think he's going to score 2 touchdowns in the game, you pick that square. It has a higher payout because it's a demon. There's also a goblin if he scores 1, which is a lower potential payout. But 150 and 2 or more touchdowns is what I'm thinking has to happen.
Yeah. Which would be an incredible feat. The thing that I have a hard time with is how much is it even rational to expect out of somebody when the entire opposing defense, which by the way, is the best defense they've played this year, right?
Oregon's a good defense too now. Let's not.
Yeah, I know.
They're not chopped liver.
That's also A, the opener, and B, I think Penn State's probably got a better defensive line, right? But okay, whatever. So if you think that they're going to do what they did against Oregon again, that's great. Here's the calculus I have for the game, though, because we're gonna preview the game. I'm assuming we're going to talk about it a lot tomorrow because the game is tomorrow. But yes, there have been G5 rosters in the playoffs so far.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like Indiana's team was basically a G5 roster because half their players came from James Madison. Right.
It was like a G5 super team because they got
but still you could make a case
from the best of the G5 rosters. Yeah.
Yeah, but they still had a bunch of G5 players on their team playing critical. And that doesn't mean that they're not good. It just means that when you play teams that are built to win a national title, it's difficult, right? And then SMU, I think you can make the case, was also a G5 team because they were in the G5 a year ago. Now they had some additions, and of course, like half the roster came from Miami. Like I know that they've got players,
but it was because they weren't playing at Miami, so it's understandable. Yeah.
So the question that I really have here, Andy, more than anything, and this isn't a does Boise deserve to be in type scenario. So if you're going to take it there, then screw off. That's not what I'm saying. I think that we are on the verge of, and maybe I'll just look like the biggest idiot ever, of just seeing the line in the sand of like Penn State, if they get hot, might make it to the title game. And Boise, though very good with a super talented running back, is still a G5 team. And it's hard to beat the best of the P4 when you're a G5 team, no matter how good you are. It doesn't mean they don't deserve to be in or they don't have the right to play. But we've already seen what this looks like twice in the playoff. And like, I think you might need 220 from him for them to win. Like, I don't know if like 150 is enough.
Yeah. Which again, if you get first month of the season, Ashton Jeanty,
yeah,
it's possible. It's not likely, but it's possible.
Like, let's just say what it is. Like Penn State, and I understand that Kevin Jennings didn't play well in the SMU Penn State game, right? Like he donated some possessions and some points to Penn State.
Yes,
Drew Allard played his worst game in like the last 6 weeks in there, and they didn't even sweat, dude. So like if you anticipate that Penn State is going to play a more efficient, sharper offensive game, and they're just going to sell out to stop this guy, like I think that the world is asking too much of him.
The world is definitely asking a lot of him.
Yeah.
And but that's the only way this works. So yeah, this is going to be a fascinating game. I cannot wait. It's tomorrow night.